something that happens repeatedly that you're unaware of for a time, unconscious of for a time, indicates a sort of subconscious fascination with the thing. And so watching it play out in your movie is a part of the process.
You are about to be informed.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, I thought that was like what we were going to come back around to this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we can talk about whatever we want because it's our show.
Yeah, that's true. Well, okay. Something that has stuck with me from having a conversation with you, Jen, was when you mentioned how people don't really talk about conditioning in the defined centers.
Yeah.
And if that sounds of any interest, I thought that was a cool topic.
I feel this especially in my defined heart. Like, I feel my conditioning is so prove your worth, prove you're lovable, prove your worth, show, and so when I when I was first discovering human design, like it felt like no one was mentioning the conditioned experience of people with defined centers. It was only being correlated with the not self or the undefined centers. And I was just like, it's the not self program, regardless of definition. I feel that our undefined centers have it's a wider trap for the conditioning. So maybe it can be just like more of an invasive species, to how that energy would run without it. But I have felt a lot of conditioning, especially in my defined heart. So yeah, I still work with that energy a lot. I've been in a big season of opening the heart and like expanding the thoracic chamber to give the heart the feeling of spaciousness and dissolving strongholds and walls. And that is slow going work. I'm going to be fucking honest with you. That is slow work. And I wonder if one of my parents had an undefined heart. That would make a lot of sense, especially for my mom. So I think the bigger the conditioning agent in your home, that is more of what impacts whether you have a lot of conditioning in a center or not, than whether it's defined or undefined.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about it with having a defined head in Ajna, the way that's kind of like categorized as having a fixed way of thinking. And so I guess this could apply to all defined centers, but I think of that as like, if I want to change my way of thinking, or like with the heart center, change my way that I like relate to self-worth or like material success, being a self in the world, then it kind of, it's like you use the phrase slow going. It's like, if I want to change my thought processes, like one of the best examples of this is when I did the whole John Sano thing to resolve my back pain. It was like every single day for half an hour, I exposed my defined head and ajna to thought forms to then like reprogram my body essentially, and my nervous system. So I get that with like conditioning in our fixed centers is or like in our defined centers, it's so often, like I've even seen it be related to karmic things that like,
Oh, thank you. Clicking. I mean that's so that feels so real because the stuff that I experience in my heart, I know that is not all me. I know that's not all me. And obviously, like, I can clearly draw the line to, say, my mom, who has really intense self-worth issues and very good reasons, you know, as all of us technically do, you know, but like really good reasons for that experience. That obviously didn't start with her, but it was easy to see, like, oh, my mom, she probably conditioned me. But what you're not seeing is that that could be a lineage pattern that you're the one like coming into awareness of. And so it's just, I think the weight of intensity that comes with one of the first in a lineage to come to the awareness of something, I think that is very intense. I think that experience should not be glossed over. And I think we should, I just feel like it should be talked about more. Like everybody's like, I'm a cycle breaker, you know? And I'm like, great. But like the experience of it, I have a lot of reverence for it. Not saying it has to be this heavy burden, but I think intensity is the correct word. It is a great effort evolutionarily to break out of a fixed pattern in a species. It really only happens when the environment is demanding that of that species. So we are the species that is learning that our feeding grounds aren't doing it anymore. We have to go forth into uncharted territories and put some respect on your name if you really do feel like a cycle breaker, because to voyage out into uncharted territories triggers every single thing in the human experience. Every single thing.
It makes me think about like the other day we were at home, we were talking about how like there's sort of increased pressures on masculine qualities of like hunter-gatherer, like you go and you get the resources for your family, and that the system that we've been in of like capitalism has been, it's been relatively fulfilling in that way for a while, but the pressures of the environment are such that even succeeding at the game that we have been playing is no longer fulfilling. And then it's this sort of like mass polycrisis happening. But it's kind of interesting, just as you were talking, it made me think about the relationship between the spleen and the heart. And like I have a defined spleen, I have a defined splenic center, but I definitely feel that like familial patterning around like hypochondriasm, like being overly concerned over like, am I unwell? Is this like is the spot on my arm dangerous or not, or like that kind of thing? But then you like see that how that cog kind of turns at the same time that the ego center, which is about our worth and our value and our contribution and our material gain.
Yeah.
And it's just like such a, I feel like it's one of those things that it is simultaneously deeply, and this is just how I see everything, but it's like it's simultaneously deeply, deeply personal, but it's also not personal at all. It's also completely collective.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like conditioning, you know, even the word conditioning and the way that it's been adopted into human design language and like how it is used in psychology as well. I think like there is a bit of a tendency to think of conditioning as bad or like not undesirable. Like we it's kind of in the same way that people go about trying to completely transcend or like dissolve their ego, but it's like no, we actually need an ego to survive. We need an ego to relate. We need an ego to like go about our daily life, but there's more to it than that as well. It's like I don't know, like the way that I think about conditioning has kind of changed, where it's like, yeah, with what you said about awareness makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, if I'm going into a space where previously I would have completely identified with that and made my whole self about this thing that I'm doing, if I go into that space with the awareness of like, oh, this is just something that I'm doing, it's not who I am, I'm still getting conditioned by like I'm still getting conditioned in my heart center around, you know, how like other people there identify with it, or the clothes that are associated with that activity, or the projections, or, you know, whatever. It's like, it's still happening, but it becomes more like the reflector aura comes to mind, where it's the openness becomes more Teflon-y. I don't know. A rum and a ramble.
Well, something that you said about like conditioning being perceived negatively, it's kind of the same as propaganda, you know? Like people think that propaganda can only be negative. Well, anything that is like designed to change your mind can be considered propaganda. And all the Instagram posts that we see that have information within them are a form of propaganda. We're all technically propagandists of the big ideas that we subscribe to, whether we're aware of that or not. This is essentially brand that is happening all the time, no matter whether you choose to have a brand or not. You do. You subscribe to a certain set of big ideas, and that informs the way you interface with life and how you talk to people. And if you're anything of a, and this is what I'm into kind of person, I think most special interest girlies, hello. Like if you're that kind of person.
Let me tell you about the history of marketing.
Exactly. Like we're all propagandizing each other. You know, we're all influencing each other. We are all conditioning each other. And it's not good or bad. It's like, are you being selective? Are you curating? Is it all hand me down, or are you developing the spaciousness in your nervous system to be able to see something coming down the pipeline and be able to feeding me? Do I like this? Yes or no? And then the creativity to like flip the script or choose something other, right? And each time we do that, we're essentially conditioning ourselves that we can alter homeostasis and we will not die.
Yeah, I get, it's like that.
And that actively choose for their lives. They won't, because it's March.
I can't hear you.
You froze.
Yeah, I froze. I couldn't hear you.
I was saying that transformation is not for anybody other than the baddies, because like it takes a lot of energy, and evolutionary biology has shown us that like creatures have evolved to use less resources over time, and transformation requires a lot of resources. So that has to be like a really curated choice, and it's a difficult choice and a difficult road. It is difficulty at the beginning. and in the middle.
And then
you know, and then at the end, as you transition into the next phase of transformation you're going to do. So it requires a lot of attention and energy from the system. And so the fact that any of us are able to do it, I think it's a miracle that we can evolve by choice. That's a goddamn miracle. That's grace. There's no better definition for it. We can evolve by choice. And that's on Life is a Gift.
You're muted.
I was just letting that sink in.
Oh,
and repeating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all your faces so much.
Yeah. Very hot podcast, I must say.
Truly.
It feels so peaceful to me to be around people who can hold empty or silence and just like be in presence with no, I have to say something or like fill the air or, yeah, it's like when I'm with someone and that can happen and I feel the stillness in my body. I don't feel the like awkward silence. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a person for my field.
Yeah.
This is correct.
It's almost like for me, like once the silence kind of settles in, I feel, well, I hope no one breaks it unless it's true. You know what I mean? That's I think that's what my energy field is hoping from that situation always. Just like it's a perfect opportunity for everybody to like check in and say what's needed, if anything at all,
It's kind of like a rest cycle.
Oh my god.
It's kind of like a rest cycle.
Segue.
We're going on a segue. We're going down the train tracks. Yeah. But it is kind of the same because, like, I was thinking about it before we started. Like, the story is that rest cycles are fine, except that I live in late stage capitalism. Like rest cycles are great, except when I tell stories about what it means about my self-worth. Or like rest cycles are actually great and enjoyable. But I think it is one of those things that you sort of just have to like completely disregard everything that you read about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Oh.
it's for sure an experience. Like, it's a phenomenon, a happening. So you gotta let it happen and suss it out for yourself almost, you know?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting like in my life I sort of contextualize it with like what's the difference between manifest arrest and project arrest. And like if in our house we've been noticing, like, if I go to jiu-jitsu for an hour of an evening, it means that I have an outlet for some of like what I've been doing in the day, but then Jack will have an hour by himself, and that like 1 hour without people is sufficient rest to just like put pep back in his step, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like a 6-line projector, like, it's a people person. That's a people person.
Yeah.
But like it's whereas like manifest arrest is it's kind of more like I can't do anything, and it might be for an hour or it might be for 6 years. And like I can't tell you which one it is, but it's like both of my north nodes are in gate 5. So I'm like obsessed with universal rhythms and patterns of like rest and growth and decline, and you know, like how distorted our ways of living, or not ours, but you know, ours, you know, have been away from that.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm curious about if it's something that can be tracked, like in the way that you can track a menstrual cycle pretty reliably, and there are certain things that you can expect to happen. I know some manifestors that sort of like map their rests with their physical cycles.
Yeah.
But that's not how I roll. Like, I track my cycles, but my rest is like, and I think that's partly because I have a lot of definition. Yes, Pipey?
Since I've been, I feel like I've been living very true to my design these last couple months since coming to Oregon. And since I've had so much space and been able to schedule my life how I desire, it has very much been in alignment with my cycle. And and kind of like is like connecting a lot. And I feel like before, you know, I'd have to do these things that didn't align with my cycle, and then I couldn't give myself the rest that I needed. And so then the rest cycle, whenever it came, was, and then it hit like really hard, versus being in alignment with my menstrual cycle is like, oh, okay, now this is happening. Now I need to take it down a notch. Like, let me not go on my hikes. Let me just do yoga, or maybe skip a yoga and find that flow. And it's felt very, very good. And I haven't been hitting any walls or, you know, feeling like, oh, I can't do a task I need to do right now because I need to be resting. Well, there was one day that was at the end, near the end of my bleed. And it was a full, it wasn't like super full. It was like kind of chill, kind of full weekend. But then on Sunday, I had made a commitment that I had to fulfill. And I could tell when I was in that commitment, like I knew I shouldn't have been there. And like I got it happening as I was in that. And I'm like, oh, I should be in bed right now. I should be horizontal. But, you know, I had made this commitment and I was there doing the thing, get this done. But yeah, that, I guess that's kind of been like also further proof to me having this kind of sync with my rest cycle being synced with my menstrual cycle.
Yeah, this is landing real deep for me, because I have been really arranging my life to my cycle lately and really standing in my, like, okay, first 2 days of my period, like, no one expect anything of me. That's on God right here, like that is on what my body is doing. And it's wild too, because I spent so much time definitely in my teenage years, but most of my adulthood being completely irregular. And so the level of regularity that I'm at is so cool. And what I have tracked is, to whatever extent I am doing things from a sense of obligation, to whatever degree I am abandoning what's true for me in some context, even if it is to fulfill a duty that on a values-based level, I am committed to that. There's no miss of my body being like, I'll save that for later. Save it for later. And when there's the experience of the wall, and just like, it's like almost more collapsy than just like falling down on the bed. It's more like a losing of your sparkle, a losing of the light behind your eyes, your radiance and vitality. And so I do feel like manifestors, especially, I think all energy types this is true for, but the degree to which you are off base with doing what you desire, what truly is pulling you forward, versus things that you've agreed to that maybe aren't as true, to whatever degree you're deviating from that, that's going to be the level of dis-ease or difficult periods or extended rest cycles that, in terms of my experience, at least, these are the things that I've tracked. In general, my rest cycles hadn't been super predictable, other than a big push of creative energy, like running a big masterclass or doing a launch or something like that, like in my business. But they have, when I decided to start setting time aside for bleeding to actually fully rest, it was like my body could start to trust, like, oh, we're gonna get what we need. We're gonna get our rest. We're gonna get it, So my personal view.
Yeah. And I could tell too, because I had started to get this really when I started paying attention to a calendar period, and when I started doing cleaning, that was when I was like constantly like looking at the calendar. Okay, like this day, this day is this day is this, and then tracking my cycle with, and being like, okay, I need to like not do these things on these days because I'm gonna hate every minute of it. And I did have, sometimes I would forget, but and then also coming back around to like hitting the wall. It's like when I worked the 9 to 5 at LC, there was just constant. It was like the rest cycle was just always one. My media partner was like, "You're always tired," and I'm like, "Well, that's because I wasn't really designed to work at this kind of energy pace." But let's just keep going, like. And I would come home, and I think I mentioned before on the podcast, I would come home and just sleep all fucking night and then wake up, eat dinner, and then go back to sleep. And it was just constantly trying to like fill the bank with rest in my free time, because there was no sense of cycle. It was just consistent work.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's when like the 6-year rest cycle occurs, is when you're just running. And then you're all of a sudden like, fuck, I can't do anything. Or you get sick, or, you know.
Yeah.
But then,
and you actually can't do anything.
Yeah.
Also, like,
I feel like I'm in a 6-year rest cycle.
But I feel like as you refine, can you guys hear banging really loud? Or is that okay?
No.
It should be reasonably isolated. Like as you evolve, refine, like decondition, I feel like the things that I still do for, whether it's like for what I perceive to be financial security, or like, you know, proving worth, whatever it is, like undefined or defined heart things. Like as I become more at the, you know, the mercy of my destiny, so to speak, the things that I will still do, it's like you could get away with less and less and less and less.
Oh God, talk on it. Okay.
It's like you used to. It's like, did I really used to sit in an office for 40 hours a week, just absorbing other people's energy into my undefined G center? And deriving self-worth from this? Is like, did I really do that? And it's like, yeah, well, at the end of that, my physical, you know, state was that I like couldn't move from pain or whatever. And it's like, but now it's like, oh, I spent 20 hours doing something that I didn't want to do over the course of a month. And it's like, no. But then I guess like the flip side of that as well is that you derive, or like this is at least what I've been experiencing lately, is that I derive deeper and more fulfilling, like more heartening pleasure from the things that I'm doing that are, you know, following my. It's been interesting for me. Like, I feel like my emotional wave is a collective wave. And like the further I get into it, it's like and having an undefined chi center as well. I'm like working this out as I speak, and I'm getting like teary. But it's like, as you guys were talking about your cycles as well, I was like, show me the tribal circuitry, because that regularity, that consistency, that's like, so that just gives me tribal vibes. Tribal vibes.
Hell yeah.
But it's
I have like, go ahead.
I mean, more broadly, the process of, I guess, like really committing to life fully, and then whether we're using like human design as a tech support, it's like everything becomes more of a it's like you become more permeable to both the things that are not for you and the things that are.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yes. When you said like you get away with less, that for me resonates so deeply. Like my soul has been like on me about a couple things, like, you know, you can't get away with that anymore. Like just such a clear message, you know, and the pattern is really ingrained. And so I'm like in that stage of like being with the message and fully ignoring the message. And what's amazing about that, like for the first time that I can really recall, is that fully being present for the ignoring of it is making me aware of just how many times my body gives me a message and I override it. Like it just started to be seen, and not like, I think I said this on a recent podcast too, where it's like, it's not like hyper vigilant, I see it all, you know, and I'm like making myself crazy with it. It's literally just like sight. It's the hawk who can, ooh, where is it? There?
Red string. You got to pull a red string.
Exactly. And it's just like, it's just this big revealing that is helping me be more honest with myself and honest with where I am at. And I think from the earnestness, that honesty just emanates. Like the gift and the grace of that is like, it's okay, dude. You're off the hook. No worries. Just be present with this and trust that your awareness as it is already changing things. You're already able to see at a capacity that no woman who came before you has been able to see and could hold. And just being able to feel that thread of like, wow, I'm the only one who is given the sight because I'm the only one so far who is ready to hold it, who can hold it and be with that experience without setting myself back, actually. So a lot of people might think that like, oh, well, if you're like still abandoning yourself and still self-sabotaging and still doing the pattern, even though your body's giving you the message, that's all you need to know about what's happening. But ultimately, I believe that one of the stages of change is presencing and witnessing the unconscious pattern consciously. And what this does is make someone prepared to hold their conscious choices.
Yeah. It tends the soil for that laying of the foundation.
Yes. That's a true character builder.
Yeah.
To see that your body is not under your control. You know what I mean? Like that there's compulsion still alive in you. And you can be fully aware that it's happening and still not feel either the ability or the willingness to make an alternate choice. And my wish for everybody who will hear those words is like, this is the moment to like be the gentlest with yourself and also to not take it personally, but also to take responsibility for it. Like no one's going to change this but me. Like no one's coming to save me. No one can do this work but me. And if I want a different result, or if I want to have a